3 American soldiers are dead. Iran's supreme leader, gone. 7 countries are under missile fire right now. And somewhere in Washington, members of Congress are finding out about a war from the news, just like you. This is not a drill. This is not a simulation. This is March 1st, 2026. And the United States is in an active, declared, named war against Iran. The Pentagon called it Operation Epic Fury. Nobody voted for it. Nobody in Congress authorized it. And the central question running through everything you're about to hear is this: was this the right call, or the most consequential unilateral decision an American president has ever made? Let's break down every confirmed fact.
Here's the scale of what has happened in the last 48 hours. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader since 1989, was killed in a U.S. Israeli airstrike on his compound in Tehran. Iranian state television confirmed it. Iran has established a 3-person temporary leadership council. A new supreme leader is expected to be named within days. U.S. B-2 stealth bombers armed with 2,000-pound bombs struck Iran's ballistic missile facilities Saturday night. As of 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, 3 U.S. service members had been killed and 5 seriously wounded, the first American casualties since the operation began. The soldiers were ground-based forces stationed in Kuwait. Iran responded by targeting Israel and multiple Gulf states: UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Jordan. An intercepted Iranian drone caused a fire on the outer facade of the Burj Al Arab in Dubai. Kuwait International Airport was struck. Zayed International Airport in Abu Dhabi reported a drone interception that killed 1 person and wounded 7. This is not contained. This is regional.
If you want breakdowns built on confirmed facts, not panic, not spin, stay right here. Subscribe and hit the bell. We track this all the way. Let's rewind. Late December 2025. Iran is burning, not from bombs, but from within. Massive protests erupt after the Iranian rial collapses and food prices surge. By January 8th, the Iranian regime shuts down the internet nationwide as demonstrations spread beyond major cities. On February 6th, something remarkably unexpected happens. Iran and the United States begin indirect nuclear negotiations in Oman. A second round is scheduled for Geneva. Oman's foreign minister signals early progress. That's where things stood just days ago. But here's where it gets complicated. Trump told The Atlantic on Sunday that Iran should have made a deal sooner, saying, "They should have done it sooner. They should have given what was very practical and easy to do sooner. They waited too long." Iran's side? Their foreign minister told Al Jazeera the negotiations were actively ongoing and that the strikes came without warning. Oman's foreign minister said the active negotiations he was mediating between Iran and the U.S. were yet again undermined by the escalation, urging the U.S. not to get sucked in further. Peace talks on Thursday, bombs on Saturday. And nobody, not the White House, not the Pentagon, has fully explained what collapsed in those 48 hours.
Here is precisely what is confirmed. On February 28th, before sunrise in Tehran, joint U.S. Israeli strikes began. The targets included Iran's ballistic missile facilities, the IRGC headquarters, Iran's naval assets, and the compound of the supreme leader himself. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called Operation Epic Fury the most lethal, most complex, and most precision aerial operation in history. Trump claimed U.S. forces sank 9 Iranian naval ships. U.S. Central Command would not confirm that specific number. That distinction matters. What the president says and what the military confirms are not always the same thing. Among those killed alongside Khamenei, Secretary of the Iranian Security Council Ali Khamenei and Defense Minister Aziz Nasirzadeh. Iran's entire top military and security leadership was effectively decapitated in a single operation.
And then, Iran made its move. Iran did not wait. Missiles and drones launched at 7 countries simultaneously. At least 8 people were killed after an Iranian missile barrage landed miles from Jerusalem. Over 14,000 departure and arrival flights across the Middle East have been affected. Dubai International Airport had 70% of its flights cancelled. Etihad Airways suspended all flights in and out of Abu Dhabi. OPEC held an emergency meeting Sunday to discuss preventing an oil price crisis if Gulf supplies are disrupted. And Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bakr Kalibaf issued a direct warning, stating Trump and Netanyahu had crossed a red line and would pay for it.
Iran's foreign ministry went further, declaring there are no red lines after this aggression.
That's not diplomatic language. That is a country that just lost its leader saying, everything is now on the table. But here's the second front of this war, and it's in Washington. Senator Bernie Sanders called it an illegal, premeditated, and unconstitutional war, saying the Constitution is clear. It is Congress that declares war, not the president acting unilaterally. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer demanded an immediate congressional briefing, saying critical details about the threat were never shared with lawmakers before bombs fell. Multiple diplomatic sources told CBS News the U.S. government did not brief allies on the details of the planned military action either. Not Congress, not allies. That's when everything shifted. Because the opposition wasn't just Democrats. Republican Senator Rand Paul co-sponsored a war powers resolution and wrote publicly, deliberately, word for word, "I am opposed to this war. This is not America first."
Here's what is confirmed. No war powers request was submitted to Congress before Operation Epic Fury began.
Here's what is alleged. The White House claims it has legal authority under existing authorizations. Legal scholars are deeply divided on that claim. Here's how the other side responded. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said the operation represents lawful actions taken in the interest of global security, and that diplomacy failed because Iran had no genuine willingness to stop aggression. 2 completely opposite readings of the same Constitution. One of them has consequences that won't be resolved in a news cycle. The world is divided, and not along simple lines. Canada expressed support for preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. North Korea condemned the strikes as gangster-like behavior that placed domestic law above recognized international law. Norway's foreign minister said the strikes were not in line with international law. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres warned at an Emergency Security Council meeting that everything must be done to prevent a further escalation, adding the alternative is a potential wider conflict with grave consequences for civilians.
France's Macron warned of grave consequences for international peace and security.
And in Los Angeles, home to the largest Iranian diaspora outside Iran, crowds gathered outside the Wilshire Federal Building carrying Iranian, American, and Israeli flags, celebrating Khamenei's death. Many in the Iranian diaspora had spent decades hoping for regime change. For them, this moment is complicated, emotional, and deeply personal. That reaction doesn't fit neatly into any political frame, and it shouldn't be ignored. Here is what is confirmed as of March 1st, 2026. Operation Epic Fury is active and ongoing. 3 American soldiers are confirmed dead. Khamenei is dead, confirmed by Iranian state media. Iran has struck back across 7 countries. Congress was not briefed before the war began. Trump told The Atlantic on Sunday that Iranian leadership wants to talk, and he has agreed to speak with them. That last point is remarkably worth sitting with. The bombs are still falling, and the president says he's open to a conversation. Here's what is not yet known. The full civilian death toll inside Iran. What specifically collapsed in the 48 hours between peace talks and the first strike?
whether Congress will challenge the president's authority, and whether it even can at this point. The central question that runs through all of it was bypassing Congress, abandoning active diplomacy, and launching the most complex aerial operation in American history, the bold, decisive move that changes the Middle East forever? Or was it the most consequential unilateral gamble any president has ever made? Without a vote, without a warning, and without a visible exit.
That question does not have a clean answer today. And anyone telling you it does isn't being straight with you. Drop your take in the comments. Do you think Trump had the constitutional authority to do this? And was it the right call? If you want breakdowns that are documented, fact first, and don't tell you what to think, that's exactly what Under Scrutiny is built for. Subscribe. We're tracking every development as it happens. This story is far from over.